Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog, and if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it. Today, I want to talk about, well, let me first start where this topic came from. I was on Facebook uh, probably a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a post that said, putting our kids out at 18 without a plan is a generational curse. And I immediately agreed with that post because I've seen some of my peers and other people actually go through some unnecessary struggles because once they turned 18, they had to get out of the house. And it wasn't because they were being reckless or, causing their parents any sort of grief, but it was the mentality that once you're 18, it's time for you to go. And a lot of the comments were disagreeing, saying that if you don't put your kids out, they'll be in your house until they're in their 50s and 60s and they won't have any development and growth and different things like that. A lot of people also agree, like I did, it's the part that everyone seems to be missing was the without a plan part. So today I want to talk about struggle, and is struggle over glorified? Like, are we sensationalizing struggle and making it more than what it actually is, or more than what it has to be? The post also made me think about college, like sending our kids to college at, 17 and 18 without a plan is also a setup for a generational curse because a lot of us are familiar with, or we might even heard personally the phrase, once you turn 18, you're getting out of here. You're either going to college, the military, but you're doing something, you're getting out of the house. But where's the planning when it comes to that sort of mentality? When we do certain things, we need some sort of planning. There needs to be some sort of strategy. Some people truly feel like if you don't have any struggles, then your achievements have no value. But I don't agree with that. I think that's very incorrect. Let's say we have two people. Both people know how to use the friction method to get a fire started. That's when you rub the two pieces of wood together until heat builds and you're able to light a fire, right? Both people know how to do that. But person A has a lighter, and they're now equipped with a way to start the fire quicker than person B. Both people are out in the cold. Both people need a fire, need to get the fire going to get warm. Person B takes longer because they're going through the friction, they're going through resistance, they're going through struggle to make it happen, but that fire is eventually lit. Time is wasted where this person could have been doing other things, but they weren't equipped with a lighter. Person A was equipped with a lighter, but just because they were able to light the fire quicker doesn't mean there weren't any struggles. It doesn't mean that, the wind didn't blow or they had to flick the lighter a bunch of times to get it started, but they were able to get the fire started quicker than person B. Both people are going to be appreciative of this fire, regardless of how they got there. So, equipping somebody with the tools to get their fire ignited quicker doesn't make them less appreciative. And then when we talk about like the path to your purpose, the path to, your destination to greatness or your calling in life, say we have two people again, both people are told to head in a certain direction, right? Person A has a map, person B doesn't have a map. The map tells person A all the shortcuts, which way to go, which way will be quicker. So both people eventually get to their destination, but person A had a map, had a plan to get to where they're going. Just because they have a map, it doesn't tell them how smooth the road would be. It doesn't say when it'll rain, doesn't say where there's floods because of the rain, and some of the shortcuts might be blocked off. Doesn't say where the roads are washed out. It doesn't say any of that. but it does give them some sort of guidance to where they're going. And when they both make it there, after that fire is lit, that person, that person with the map met a lot of obstacles, obstacles that they didn't see coming, but they had a map, they had a way, they knew they were going in that right direction. They had a guide. Person B didn't have a guide. They just kind of feeling their way through. Along the way, they made some wrong turns. But if they'd only had a map, they could have gotten there quicker. And so when I saw that post, the main thing that stuck out was without a plan. It seems like struggle is sensationalized to be this badge of honor. And people want to say they had to go through this and they had to go through that just to get to where they're going. And as if it validates them. Some of these people, if we're being honest, caused their own struggles in their life because they wouldn't listen growing up. They had the right people in place trying to tell them what to do. The parents, the teachers, the peers, family members. But they wanted to do stuff the hard way. And they come out on the other side thinking that everybody has to go through what they went through to make them a better person. Isn't it amazing how the people who've gone through real struggle, I mean, like stuff that they could not avoid, from being less fortunate to seems like everything was happening bad for them in their life, and then they finally turn it around. Those are the people that I see that are working so hard to keep other people from going down that same path. But it feels like the people who created their own struggles are the ones who want people to go through the same things. We see that a lot with businesses. People had to go through a lot of different things and then they have connections. Somebody they know is trying to start something similar. They won't even help the person out, give the person advice, or even point them in the right direction. Some people are even selfish with their contacts because they felt like they had to do certain things to get to know certain people to get in the room. But when you get in the room and have a seat at the table, you're supposed to bring people up with you. And you know the right people to do that with. You know the people who are appreciative of it, and you know the people who will pay it forward. And you have some people just wanting to do stuff because that's what was done to them without even actually looking at the process and seeing if that process is still valid or if that process even makes sense in that situation. We were taught things that might have made sense for our parents and grandparents that did not necessarily make sense for us when we were a certain age. And there's some things now that don't make sense for what's going on today. Like people have so much more pressure than they used to with comparison to social media, comparing their lives to people, comparing themselves to these highlight reels, and this causes depression for some folks. This causes a feeling of no self worth. And it's so many different places now where you can get where that can be fed into. The pressures are different, the things are different. And I think with college, we think that we were taught that that's the automatic step from graduating from high school is you're supposed to go to college afterwards. And being a college graduate myself, I can honestly say that college isn't for everyone, especially at such a young age. Some people might actually have to revisit going to college instead of just going right out of high school. It just depends, but with making the decision to go to college, there's so much more that plays into that. Whatever your goal is or whatever type of career path you want to follow, you need to have a plan because going to a 4-year college might not be the best plan for what you're trying to achieve. Going to a 2-year college might not be the best plan or route for you. You might have to even look at just gaining experience and getting some certifications, but it's the planning part that sets us up for generational curses because if we're teaching the same things over and over again without actually looking at them and making sure they actually apply to our goals and where we're trying to go, we can end up digging ourselves into deeper and deeper financial situations and unnecessarily financial burdens. Some of us have gone to college and gotten degrees that we aren't even using. Some of us are in positions that not necessarily require having a degree, because it's more about who you know and who knows you than what you know in a lot of situations.
If you're in a position where you can help people, especially if you've gone through struggles, make sure that you're helping people so they don't have to go through the same thing that you went through. The best teacher is not always our own experiences, but the experiences of somebody else. So share those experiences with people. Make sure people don't have to go through the same things. And I'll close with this post that I saw a few days later. It says, "My children will not get it out the mud. They'll get it out of the garden from the seeds I'm planting." And that's what we need to start doing. We need to start planting seeds for the next generation and the generations after that. And keep repeating the cycle of struggling and making bad decisions and thinking that that's the only way that people will learn. That's not the only way. And it's up to us to stop this cycle. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.